Trump is on the brink of his VP pick, and that's because it is being covered in the media. It means they're saying they're agreeing that he will be the candidate. That's the first bit of good news. They've conceded it. He's going to be the general candidate. The primaries are over. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is where the happy people are. I'm going to give you a string of articles. Trump's pick for vice president still matters in 2024. That's him hugging Kristi Noem. That's one of the big hints is this is going to be a woman. I'll explain that in just a second, why it has to be a woman. Donald Trump's lead over a shrinking field of Republicans' presidential rivals is big enough to begin thinking about him as a general election candidate, as a lot of closely watched polls are already doing. This also means it's safe to say he's not going to tap Ron DeSanctimonious or Nikki Birdbrain Haley. I can't believe that nickname to be his running mate. Indeed, the odds are good that he will exclude anyone who had the temerity to challenge him in 2024. Loyalty is number one to him. And he said of this group that none of them in the VP, none of the other candidates are things he's interested in for VP. Indeed, 538 had a sort of mock draft of potential Trump VPs this week, and 7 of the 8 named possibilities were women, all in fact but Tim Scott, who seemed unlikely since he challenged Trump, and also because he just massively lost in the primary. So why does that have to be a female? They don't say it in any of these articles, but it's obvious that biggest place where Biden picked up votes against Trump in 2020 was with females. He needs to be seen on stage very close with a woman. Here's a CNN poll. Trump holds significant lead in New Hampshire GOP primary, while Haley moves into second place. Haley is starting to step up over Ron DeSantis. So this is New Hampshire, one of the early state primaries. Trump has to beat Haley and DeSantis and Chris Christie. It now looks like that's not going to be a problem. Meanwhile, some of Trump's counterparts were hoping he would get his name removed from the ballot. Judges in Michigan and Minnesota over the past 2 weeks have ruled that Trump, the 2024 Republican primary frontrunner, can be on the ballot in both states, dismissing lawsuits by citizens watchdog organizations. He has a third one pending in Colorado. That one, too, is probably going to follow these 2 states' precedents. A few of the VP prospects named at 538 are what they appropriately called chaos candidates, Kari Lake and Margie Taylor Greene. So these are 2 huge early and often Trump supporters. They're big, okay? Kari Lake is running for Senate. Margie Taylor Greene is already an incredible leader and passionate for Trump. I don't know if they're quite what he's looking for. I actually think Trump is looking for someone a little more mainstream than them. An older replica of the same basic political model is Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, a veteran culture warrior. That's her in that upper left with the glasses on. She's in my state. I think Marsha Blackburn would be a great pick. She's 71 is the problem, and he might need to get a little more youth on his side, but she'd be a very strong, very serious, very normal candidate to pick. Someone who might check more boxes than anyone is Arkansas Governor and former Trump press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who finally got around to endorsing the boss last night at the 3rd Republican debate. Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is another one who I think Trump really trusts a lot. He's worked closer with Sarah Huckabee Sanders because she was his press secretary for all that time. He's actually been closer to her than any of these other candidates. I think I don't know how well she'll do or how appealing she is on a national stage, but she has that Huckabee name that is very good with the right. And then there's an especially intriguing option in New York, Representative Elise Stefanik. Now, she's a bit of a squish and she's young. She's 39 years old. I think she's a real long shot. I think she'd be good in the position. And then finally, other women mentioned by the 538 are more plausible, if very Trumpy. There's big time Trump fan, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. Right now, Kristi Noem is kind of in the lead, probably for me too. She had an affair of some kind with one of Trump's Guys, if for some reason he's trying to avoid scandal, then he will drop Kristi Noem for having an affair on her husband. Right now, if I had to pick someone, and remember, whoever Trump picks, he's queuing up to be president in 2028. And because of that, I gotta say, probably Marsha Blackburn. But that's just a guess. Who do you think? Not who do you like, but who do you think will be the vice president of these ladies? But I'm curious what the votes will end up being. I'm Doug in Exile.